we ended up, so at the beginning we were visiting more rural communities. Then we noticed that a lot of the rural communities are very dependent on the cities and a little isolated, and we were more excited about more urban communities, and we visited a bunch of them and got very excited about the energy in the urban communities. It's just in the urban environment, so there's just a lot of things accessible. And later on, we actually focused more on urban communities that don't live together. So people that get around different ideas and attraction to each other, that live in the same city and meet constantly, and it definitely feels like a community, but they don't necessarily share ownership or livelihood. One thing that was difficult is that we have a set of preferences. We actually let go of the idea of finding our community. We didn't want to have that pressure for each community we visit. We said we're just going to visit as visitors, and that's the whole thing, as researchers, researching communal life, cohabitation. And we're still officially on this trip. I'm still researching this cohabitation here with the extended family living here for the last 4 years. But we had a pretty specific way we want to live. And we have our set of preferences, and we never find exactly that set of preferences in any of the communities we visited. So when we live more isolated in each house, then we can live our way, they can live their way, but when you live communally, then the whole idea is to share things. So for somebody who comes with a blank, with a blank set of preferences, and they come to a community and say, oh, I'll adopt all these sets and just join in. But the people who come and have a more specific vision of how they want to live, for us it was very easy to see that all the communities we visited are not suitable for us, for how we want to live. And it will be more comfortable for us to live the way we want to either create our own community by our standards, or just live on our own and get support from a variety of places, so we can relate to this family or this people around how we raise our daughter, and with these people around how we eat, and with these people, and just kind of have it from diverse, because it puts a lot of pressure on the one community. It's like marriage in that sense, to have all these things from the community, and especially if it's an isolated community and that's your main interaction. At one point, my parents have been visiting us and my siblings, and I was living already for a year in a community in Oregon, and it was a community with a lot of emphasis on educating people from outside who come and visit, and a lot of the energy was towards outside, and it was a lot of, as the education was outwards, it was also inwards, but there was a lot of hard work. But I noticed that many of the communities we visited had accounting, like counting hours of how many hours you worked this week, or did you come to the weekly meeting or did not come to the weekly meeting, and different agreements that were hard to keep, and also many of the communities had a very high turnaround. The secular communities, like 4 years I think on average. People come and leave on average after 4 years. So I remember at one point my parents visiting, and these are my parents that are always going to be my parents, and my parents are vegan, they buy organic food, they're very far from how we live, but they're very close also, and especially when I looked at other parents. And I remember reading about Gaza, that back in 1967 Ben Gurion said that 300,000 people is too much living in this small strip of land, and that was 300,000. Today is 1.5 million, and the reason they're able to survive there, cope there, is because the extended family structure makes it possible that only one person has to work, and that's enough to put food on the table for the whole extended family. There's something very efficient about it, that I think, and the efficiency is not just the group, but the fact that because it's family and because there's no out, because there's no out from the family, there's less friction that has to do with, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to get out of here. See, a lot of the friction in the community is that if I don't get what I want here, I can always leave. When you come with that mindset, you can't really meet at any point or be in dialogue, because it's pretty clear cut. So how do I choose to be with something that I have no out with? Even if I create a community with people, how do I can choose that will be one of the things? There's no out. If that's one of the agreements, that we are here to stay. How do we do that without feeling limited? Actually feeling liberated by this support and stability. I don't have clear answers to this. There's more questions than answers, but I did notice that the extended families have a much higher success rate in supporting each other, especially in crucial moments. In crucial moments, like who do you come for when you're really like hit the ground, and who's going to come there when when you get in a car accident? I mean, the community will come, but many times it's even though you can hate your parents, they're the ones going to come there and be there for you. So it seems like there's a potential there of transformation, where just in ourselves, how we look at it, and in the nature of the relationships, where before we come and recreate the wheel with a bunch of strangers or people who just hold on, connect around similar ideas that are ever changing, especially if they're young, it seems like a very weak link. Just common ideas. And if you have family members, it doesn't have to be your parents, if it could be your uncle or aunt, family members that you have that bond with them, and you have some ideas in common. What I'm doing these days is and I've been doing these last 4 years, is saying how we can not just dish it like that, and seeing whether there's maybe potential here to develop in our own paths and together. So in that sense, I'm very pleased in being here, because even though there's a lot of compromises, like these bars over here, there's just a lot I'm getting from being here, and I'm independent.